The recent Lego movies managed to find the balance between, well, being commercial advertisement a little bit, but also having a heartfelt and emotional story. Here to talk with us about how they managed to pull this off is Trisha Gum. She was head of story on the Lego Batman movie and co-director for the Lego Movie 2. She's gonna tell us some tips and tricks for storytelling, how to get in a position where you can influence the story in a feature film, and she's gonna tell us a little bit about the secrets of good comedy.
You can't spend the rest of your life alone, dressed in black, and staying up all night.
Good night, Alfred.
Sir, it's morning.
So can you tell us a little bit about how a story is shaped from the first ideas to the feature film?
Oh, wow. Well, there's many parts of the story process, but we generally start with what's called a treatment, and it's really just getting your first pass of the story that you want to tell out. And then you go into the scripting phase from there, and then the boarding phase, which all along the way, each phase of the process, you're really shaping your story and finding your characters as you go. So, and then part of my talk was on how I think most people think that the story process stops there, but the story process actually goes all the way through the end of the film with animation and effects and lighting, and you're just shaping the story as you go with each part of the process.
So you would do changes later, even if you are producing animation or if you are recording the voice actors?
Yeah, we are. Like a lot of times in the booth, with the actors, they have the script and they're reading from the script, but they'll come up with a funny joke or they'll add like a little ad lib in there, and then the story changes a little bit that way. So we always have a strong, character breakdown. That we understand who the character is as filmmakers going in. So that just helps the actor be able to know what kind of character they're playing, if they're what their emotional core is. But definitely when they get in the booth with us and they understand who their character is and they start reading the lines, they definitely bring a lot more, and they bring the character to life. And so, we really get inspired by them as well.
Yeah.
And it does kind of like help you change and shift as you're writing further down the line in the film. You really start to understand who the character is more and more because the actors have really helped you bring the character to life. Yeah.
Awesome.
And why don't you say, like, the tentacles, like, they shouldn't go, like, wherever. They should only go in straight lines and at right angles.
But hold on, when I mean tentacles, and I want a lot of them, I don't mean crazy squiggly. They should be straight. Go straight up and down. They're like tentacle legs, okay? There's no joint in them. They don't bend. That kind of tentacle.
You always have the basic structure of your story and the themes and the, emotion and the emotional core. You always have that starting into production, but as you're going, you'll get some funny dialogue added, or an animator will do something funny that then inspires something else to change a little bit. So as you're going, you're continuing to shape your story.
Okay. Interesting. Now, the movies that you worked on, the Lego Batman and Lego Movie 2, I feel like they have, on the one hand side, there's this very light and funny comedy. On the other hand side, they're story driven. How do you balance these two elements in the story?
Well, for the Lego movies, it was very important to us that they were emotionally resonant with the audience.
Okay.
So we never just wanted them to be funny and wacky. They are funny and wacky because the people that work on them are funny and wacky. So we bring our own sensibilities to it. It's really a collaborative effort. We always say the best joke wins. So there's no egos in that. It's just everybody's pitching jokes and trying to get the best comedy in there. But it's also really important that we have an emotional core to our films.
Yes.
So we really focus on that a lot, where we really dig into who the characters are and what journeys they're going on and where they are emotionally all the way through the film.
Okay. How do you come up with this emotional journey? Like, is there some sort of checklist, or what helps you with that?
I think it's all personal experiences. I know, Chris McKay, the director on Lego Batman, he would often say, some of us weren't parents ourselves, but we had parents on the crew. And so to get like Alfred's story, who feels like a father figure to Batman, we'd have to say, we'd really dig into our crew, the people that are parents, and say, what's it like to be a parent, and what are the emotional things that you go through, and that kind of stuff. So it's really coming from personal experiences, whether it's your own or it's your crew members,
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. So those films are incredibly funny. What do you think are the ingredients for good comedy?
The ingredients for good comedy. I wish there was like a recipe that would be easier. There isn't. It really is just, we as a crew, we try to make each other laugh. We joke about things that we find funny. I know there's a lot of Harry Potter fans, for example, on our crews, and so we try to make Harry Potter jokes, and it's really just the things that we find funny, and we try to make each other laugh. And then if we can make each other laugh and it gets into the screening and we make the audience laugh, then we know that we're telling a funny joke. But
now what I would imagine could be a challenge in these films is that they originated from a toy brand.
Yes.
Like, how do you turn something that could potentially just be a commercial to a film that is heartfelt and honest?
That's a good question. Again, we really wanted to tell an emotional story first, something that was resonant, and then on top of that, make it funny. Yes. And then a lot of us are fans of the Lego toy, and a lot of us are stop motion fans. So we always took it as like from a perspective of, instead of just highlighting a toy, what can we do to highlight how you would play with a toy, or what we loved, growing up with Lego. And even most of the crew still really loves Lego. So it's like we all have Lego on our desks and we play with Lego. So it really, we wanted to see it more as a medium rather than highlighting just a toy. It's like every set you see is grounded in the story rather than just separate.
Yeah. That's working very well, I think. So one thing that I notice very often, that people who want to become animators, what they do want is they want to shape the story of a feature film. But then when they dip into the industry, they're often frustrated because of an animator. Often you just have to animate what you're given. So how do you get into that position where you can, you made it into that position. You were head of story, right, for Lego Batman?
Yeah, for Lego Batman I was head of story, and on Lego 2 as the co-director. So the way that I run my team is I like to, see everybody as a filmmaker. So what's really fantastic about, even working on Lego 2, we knew the story we wanted to tell with the Queen, but I really let the animation team go kind of crazy with like what they could make her into, because she's a shapeshifter, so she could be whatever she wanted to be. Nice. And I had different, story points I wanted to hit. Like she had to be a boombox at one point, and she had to be a horse, and there were certain things she had to be. Yes. But then letting the animators really come and bring their own sensibilities as filmmakers and as like creative thinkers, I think it makes your film better if you let your team, really kind of own things themselves.
I'm a queen, whatever I would not be.
The talking horse?
I can change my forms if this makes you uncomfortable. Hey guys.
No, go back. The horse was much more palatable.
So I would say every director is different, but I personally love to like empower my team to bring their creative skill set and their imagination.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's probably also that, with more people bringing in ideas, you got more ideas.
Yeah, you have more ideas. It's funnier. The animators sometimes would charm me beyond belief, and I would say, the character should be doing this is the emotional moment, or this is the comedy moment, and then they would do that times 10 and like surprise me and charm me with little poses they would do, or little character moments they would create on their own, which was always really nice.
Awesome. And what would you give as advice for someone who actually wants to become only a director, not an animator, or a story or a writer person?
The biggest advice I give to people is students, whether you're a student or you're somebody in the industry that wants to transition into directing, which is what I did. I started in the art department. I also worked production, and I always knew I wanted to be a director. So I just started making my own things in my own time, whether it was a music video for a friend or a tiny little 2-minute story, anything that you can do to just kind of get your voice out there. The more things that you make, even if they're on your own, the more you learn about what your voice is and what your style is, and the more you can show people what your voice and style is. So I really think creating your own content is the way to kind of be recognized as a storyteller and a director.
All right, thank you. If I'm working on my story and I feel like some things aren't working yet, or it's not coming together yet, what do you think are some ways that can help to fix the story or make it better, or check if it's working?
I guess it depends on what part of the process you're in. I think notes and feedback from friends and family, and fellow writers, creators, directors, animators, people that you know in the industry, I think feedback is really the key to help you not only understand what people might be struggling with to understand about your story, it also helps you be able to articulate and know what the story is that you want to tell. So I feel like at any part of the process, feedback is always great. But it just depends where you're at. If you're at script phases, it's letting somebody read your script. If it's animatic stages, it's letting them see your animatic. And sometimes when it's at animatic stage, you don't even need notes. You can just see the audience reacting one way or the other, but notes are still always good. So yeah.
What do you think about I feel like that is a thing that I often have, that I do an animatic and I feel like it's working brilliantly in an animatic, and then you start animating and it's not as funny, it's not working as much. Did you have that problem?
Yeah, there were for sure scenes that we had that really worked in a storyboard context, and then once it's animated, it wasn't as funny or it wasn't as emotional, and you really just have to analyze why, and one in particular example we give in Batman is we had a scene where Robin hits his head on the dashboard, and it was so funny when our storyboard artist Dave Tuber boarded it, and we all laughed, and always in the animatic it was funny, and then once we started shooting it just looked painful, it looked mean, and so we had to rework the camera and kind of redo the set a little bit to kind of get the angles that we needed to then make it funny again.
Oh my goodness. I am so sorry. As soon as I get back to the Batcave, I will make sure that Alfred puts seatbelts on there.
And the animators really helped understand like the fine line between Robin being a little bit hurt, but not so hurt you think he's, damaged.
Yeah. And then there's also, the good thing about 2D is you can just draw things how you want it. And then if you have a set, you have
to shoot in the set that you've built. Yeah.
It's crazy. My biggest issue with stories or jokes, actually, is I think the timing is the thing that I struggle with the most. Yeah. Do you have any advice about that?
Timing is really just, it's a lot of editorial pacing. And I think just really practicing it, trying it different ways. If something is not working timing-wise, you recut it, re-edit it, move it around, because there is something to pacing and joke telling. There's a lot of times, we'll have a joke that's really funny, and then we kind of move things around a little bit, and then it becomes unfunny again, and then you have to reshape it. And, it's kind of like sculpting, something could look off in proportions, and you have to redo it. So yeah, timing, I would say just practice, and don't be afraid to undo things and kind of mold the clay and move things around to make the pacing work.
Wonderful. So at FMX, you were also part of a panel. What was that about?
It was a Women in Animation panel, WIA, which they're starting a branch here in Germany, which I recommend everybody join because I'm part of WIA in Los Angeles. And there's a Vancouver branch, and they're just trying to expand to really help diversity and support women in the animation and VFX gaming industry. And, it was just a group of us women who are leaders in the industry really talking about, we know since the Me Too movement, we know that there is an issue. We need to get more, female voices on screen. We need to have more directors and writers and producers and, leading teams. And we really just wanted to talk about some solutions, some things that we've found that we're doing in our industry. Yes. As leaders to create a space for more women to get opportunity. So we really just wanted to talk about a lot of the solutions that we're finding and really encourage the audience to take away the things that we've learned, but also we wanted to hear things that they learned. And so just kind of really affecting change,
Yeah, sure. What would you give as advice for a woman who is in the position that she feels like she's not being heard, like she feels that pressure and is treated unfairly? What do you think is it that someone in that situation can do?
Well, I think the most important thing is to start talking about it and to not remain silent. I mean, I've definitely done that in my career, and I've encouraged my colleagues and friends and filmmaking partners to all, speak up and speak out. And I know it's hard, but I feel like right now everyone's listening and everybody's wanting to make a change. So now's the time to speak out and really just have your voice heard and to not be silent.
Okay, thank you very much, Trisha Gum.
Yeah, it was nice chatting with you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.